Maya Angelou once said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And this truth Sugar Panbehchi knows all too well. Born into a Persian family full of activity and status, Sugar learned at a young age how much circumstances can change at an instant when her family immigrated to start a new life in the United States. Entrepreneurship is in her blood as Sugar started working in her father's mechanic shop and other family businesses since the age of 14. Yet her empathic qualities and desire to assist people to heal and grow prompted her to build a vibrational sound and wellness center called Be Crystal Clear Sound Healing and Wellness Center in Santa Monica, California. Abruptly, in 2020, she lost her entire business location to rioters and looters. Sugar healed from this tragedy and created a thriving business again, which now expands beyond her brick and mortar location by entering the Metaverse, a virtual space soon to be welcoming visitors internationally. She's a celebrated sound and breathwork practitioner, a certified NLP and life coach, a certified health and wellness coach, a respected wellness instructor, and now a guest on Ignite Your Essence TV talk show. Sugar Panbehchi, welcome. Welcome, Igniters. Well, you just learned about Sugar Panbehchi, actually. Panbehchi is how we anglicize the word, but in Persia, or in speaking in Farsi, it would be Panbehchi. And without, I want to welcome Sugar. Hello, Sugar.
Hello, welcome. How are you? Thank you so much, all of you, for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. So you're not in your virtual space business. You're actually in your physical space. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we covered quite a lot about your journey up to where you are right now. And it's a happy ending already, and it's getting happier. You're thriving. You're thriving from a time that a lot of people, it could have really thrown them off balance for quite a long time. So why don't we delve deeper into that right now, Sugar? But before that, let's talk about how you came to this country. Can you speak about your origin story so that the audience can learn a little more about you?
Sure, absolutely. So I was born in Iran and, had a beautiful childhood, had beautiful experiences. My father grew up in the States. He went to Berkeley at the age of 16. So he was very well versed and comfortable, maneuvering around the world at a really young age. And so when he graduated, he came back to Iran and he was a developer and he worked for an American company in Iran and was developing, and I was always on his sites. I remember as a really young kid, I loved the smell of a fresh site that was being built, and what he was building and what was going on it. And so I was very excited about all that when I was super young. And then unfortunately, when the revolution happened, it was a very, very trying time for everyone. And so unfortunately, we had to flee very quickly, and I had to see things I wish I could unsee that people go through when your homeland is being invaded for millions of other reasons other than the right reason. And so therefore, I didn't speak English very well. It was really hard when I first came here to get comfortable, especially when you're leaving your whole family and your whole life behind, of everything that you've known, all of a sudden being thrusted out into a space and you don't speak the language, and there was a lot going on. And so I was really bullied at a really young age, like called a terrorist, and all the things that were going on in that time frame that I, as a kid, had nothing to do with. But it was really a tough period. Though I have to say, again, all these little and big challenges that I've had to experience since I was little really gave me a better understanding of how to deal with things when they showed up in my life. Frankly, I saw my parents lose 3 homes. We lived very lavishly in Iran and had a very comfortable life, and saw them having to come here and to really literally start from scratch. And so watching them go through that process, watching myself go through just being in ESL alone from 3rd grade all the way to 8th grade, and trying to find myself getting grounded was hard. It was hard to see, but right now, looking back, I'm in a sense grateful for the hardships that I faced as a young kid, and also observe how my parents pivoted. Because as I got older and things started happening in my world, in my life, and in my businesses, I saw myself generally get up and pivot much quicker than the average person, because I wasn't afraid that I have fallen again. And now I have to figure out how I'm going to get up and bounce back. This time around, it was very hard, though, I have to say. This was a very personal space for me. This was almost a home that was not only a place I built for us to be there for 8 years. I'd signed an 8-year lease, but I really wanted to build a huge, vast community, and it was really, really hard. So that's just that the transitions of all the things I've seen, and I just turned 50, so now a whole new set of fun things to learn at this age, but it's exciting.
Woohoo! Well, happy birthday. And you were redefining age because you don't look 50. At
Oh,
least what
thank
we
you.
felt that 50 was. That, thank you so much for sharing this. And I want to give honor to the origin story that you spoke of. For those of you who are watching, because we do have a great deal of millennials and Gen Zs that also pop in, the moment in time in Persia of what Sugar is talking about with the revolution, it was a time where in the United States, people weren't really educated very well. We didn't have the internet. People couldn't Google what a terrorist was, and reality, Sugar. And you can correct me if you're wrong. Many Persian immigrants who came to this country during this time were being persecuted for being the very opposite of what they were being told they were. And so here you were, you lost everything, your heritage, your family, you're starting a new life. And what you're talking about with this origin story is that you literally had to learn from these lessons how to move forward and how to learn a language and get along. May I ask how old you were when you came over?
Yeah, I was around almost 4 or 5 when it happened. Around
Wow.
time
So
frame.
your language of those years
Yeah,
was Farsi, correct? And it wasn't English. And then you learned English and
yes.
all of those things. I want to really give honor to that because of the fact that those are not small challenges. And yet here you are. You're like, oh, well, those challenges happen. And that kind of prepared me. And yet there are people who go through things that just still stall you, where you're like, whoa, never expected this. And that's what happened to your place of building. Can we talk about your previous build business, the one you rebuilt? It was amazing. There was footage in the Los Angeles Times. There were it was something that was new for its time and it was thriving. Could you explain the energy of that and really what the concept was of that original business?
Sure, absolutely. So, since I was a young kid, I was always a really sensitive child, and I was highly psychic and empathic. But of course, I didn't have the luxury of having mentors, or, even though my parents were super forward and very liberal minded and open minded, but they were very busy, I believe, in their lives to take a note and recognize that these sensitivities of mine, we needed to look a little bit more deeper into that. Right now, for example, I have a 7-year-old, and literally since she was born, I can see all of the things that she's sensitive about, and I'm mindful of it. So it's really important, just to mention that. Um, you know, this business was birthed literally because I wanted to step outside of the family business and do something that meant something to me personally. I've loved and been obsessed with music ever since I was in my mother's womb. My parents used to record songs for each other, and they were playing music in the house the entire time. Um, and music made everything feel better. I can hear a song and know exactly where I was at that particular point in time. I knew exactly what I was going through. It's either going to make me cry, it's going to make me think and reflect, or it's going to make me sad, or it's going to make me happy. So just music was always my medicine. And I tried to play the piano. Reading notes was kind of very difficult for me, and I don't know where the block is in this lifespan of mine right now, but I can mix music, I can DJ, and I can put sets of sounds together, but for whatever reason I couldn't read notes. But that didn't stop me. I was like, okay, so no problem, but I know how to mix. I hear it. I hear songs in my head. So obviously I'm supposed to be playing some instruments. Therefore, I moved on to the guitar, and then this finger was too weak. So then when I discovered my beautiful sound bowls and all these different frequencies, I was like, aha, there it is. That's what I've been looking for all these years, to connect to, and to open and activate not only myself but everyone else. And so when I actually first time I had a sound bath, it was that I had walked into a space when I was pregnant. I was pregnant. I was very sensitive, and I had walked into this beautiful crystal shop, and there was this beautiful woman there, and she gave me her business card and said, whenever you want to have a session, just come on in. And I see you're pregnant right now. So for 3 years, I saved her card in my dresser. And when my daughter went to school, I kind of decided, okay, I want to do something new. And so I went back to this beautiful crystal shop, and there I walked in, and Nicole said, oh my God, I remember you. You were pregnant, and now how's your baby? You want to have a session? And I was like, yes, let's do it. And that first session tremendously changed my entire life, because within 1 hour, I was able to visually see exactly what I wanted to put together, which was music, sound, vibration, energy healing, working with all the crystals, and educating people on all of the above. And so that's how it all started.
And there, the birth of Be Crystal Clear Sound and Healing Wellness Center. You mentioned a word that many of us don't know exactly what it is. We kind of have an idea. What is a sound bath?
A sound bath is a series of, first of all, I want to make sure that everybody understands that we have our energy centers, which are our chakras, and our chakras are all vibrating at different frequencies. The lowest chakra, which is at the tail of your spine, is your root chakra. So that's your first chakra. The color is red, and it vibrates at the slowest frequency. So these beautiful instruments are all tuned to all of our energy centers. And our energy centers tend to get blocked. They get blocked for millions of reasons. It could be from someone else's energy, or someone saying something that didn't resonate with us, or we were off and picked up something from someone else, or we didn't shield and protect ourselves. A million reasons as to why that could happen. But so therefore, these beautiful bowls or gongs or different instruments are all tuned specifically to these different frequencies. And when these frequencies are being heard by a client like yourself, who's laying down or sitting down and receiving them, they tend to go and clear the energy centers and reactivate them so that they are working at their optimal level. So it's almost like, I want you to visualize your body is like a river. And imagine if we were constantly camping by your body of river and dumping our trash into your body of water. So the trash is blocking the water from necessarily moving and flowing as comfortably as it would. So what a sound bath that generally does is, it, once all these beautiful bowls are being played for all these beautiful people to heal or cleanse or clear their trauma or whatever they're going through, or just to activate their third eye or activate their sacral chakra to be more creative. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be going through something horrible that you need a sound bath. You could be having your best life ever, and all of a sudden you're just blocked and you just need a little tune-up. And so the way I like to explain it is, sound frequencies, we can only hear certain sounds. Dogs are more sensitive, animals are more sensitive, but we can only hear certain sounds. And these frequencies are so strong in the way that they penetrate. They are able to reverse cells. They are able to really clear all of the things that we are going through, where it leaves a person feeling, pun intended, very crystal clear, relaxed, less stressed. They have better sleep at night, and they can just think better and function better during the day. So there's many reasons why people would want to have a sound bath, and this is nothing new. It's been It's been going on. I think sound and music we have created since we've been here, since the dawn of man. Okay, we used to drum, we used to hit, we used to kick. We'll make beat with anything. And if you notice, music immediately penetrates. And so no matter what it is that you're going through, you are going to feel extremely activated when you're hearing these beautiful instruments played for you.
Wow. That makes me think about something that has affected me. I don't mind that I love the fact that there's varieties of music. I really do. As long as it's not something that maybe has words that are disparaging the people. I pretty much like almost all music or music genres. But there is some music, there's a whole trend that started in the 80s where people were able to put better car stereos in their cars, and then they put bass. And so a lot of times people will play music and it has this bass that's so powerful that sometimes it makes me a little grumpy, a little agitated. And you talked about these sound frequencies. Now, that has to be a frequency, right? Could you explain to me why sometimes I feel agitated? It doesn't make me go, whoa, dude, nice sound system. It makes me go, why do you do that? Could you explain why this happens?
Very simply, your body is made of water. Okay. And so, depending on where you're holding stuck energy inside of your body of water, just like I said, there's, when you're like your body of water is the river and there's somebody camping and they dump the trash into the river rather than the trash can. It's the same thing. So, if there is a sound coming through, it could be someone's as simple as someone's voice, it could be as simple as like what you just experienced, that that bounce, that vibration is not necessarily very pleasurable, not for everybody. And when the body reacts to sound in the negative way, you have to listen and honor the body, because the body is suggesting to you that I'm uncomfortable. This is not making, some people, for example, love rap music. Some people love um, rock and roll or heavy metal. Like some people listen to Metallica all day long and work and have no problem. Not everyone can do that. Okay. And so to each their own, but it's very important to recognize how if you're not under the influence, of course, because if you're under the influence of anything other than you being your natural, authentic self, you might be picking up other things. And so, again, it's super important that you're always listening to your body. You always listen to what it likes and what it doesn't like. That's the number one thing that people tend to miss, because they are distracting themselves with all the other things that they think are important. And then they fail to listen to the simple things that internally you have this voice telling you. And so I always recommend that if there's some frequency or a sound that is not resonating. I heard, for example, there was a recent concert that a lot of people passed away. We won't need to mention the name, but we all know who that concert was. But I heard the entire day there were low, and I heard the frequencies, and it was making all these people get a little crazy, and kind of lose it. And so there is 100% frequencies that can very much lower your vibration. And you have to be very mindful of what you listen to, especially not only with music, but even in the content of the people that you are listening to. Also very important.
That's so funny. If you were to tell me this when I was in my teen years, I'd say, "Ugh, come on, you and my parents." But it's so true because, in my opinion, music is medicine. When I want to change my mood, when I want to make myself inspired, if I want to help myself to be a little more pensive so I can just process maybe an emotion that I feel I need to address, I pop on music. And then, like you said, with that particular concert, it's like in Harry Potter, it's like, Voldemort, the concert that shall not be named. But it would seem if you're constantly repeating things over and over, it's no different than all of the styles of auto repeating for hypnotizing people into things. But you're saying that it's deeper, that water in our bodies that gets activated. He just explained something very interesting. Thank you.
Well,
In fact,
water holds memory. And so I just want to make sure, when you are studying the importance of water, and learning through Dr. Emoto, for example, the messages in water. It's just really important. Sometimes you have memories that come back. It's because your body is made of water, and water holds memory. And so when you learn more about that, then you understand the importance of how important drinking really good water is for your body and nourishing. And that is just like, water is the biggest deal to me. And sound activates everything in you through that water and moves everything around. That's why people get very sensitive. If they're emotional, they start crying very quickly when they're going through that.
Wow. I think we're kindred spirits, because I feel the same way about water. And I love the study by Dr. Emoto. And in fact, one of our previous guests on Michelle A. Wilson's morning show of Ignite Your Essence, she even brought Dr. Emoto's work because it's so groundbreaking and powerful, and it's being replicated. So we know that it's sound work. No pun intended. So now you explain sound, Crystal. Why crystals? Why crystals? Why sound and crystals together? Could you speak a little more to that?
Oh my God, why not? Why not? I mean, where do I start? I don't even know. Listen, I think crystals, just the same as instruments, they hold this vibration and that frequency. So you can program your crystal, tell it what it needs to do for you. Crystals, we are crystals. Okay, our teeth have crystals. So at the end of the day, every single crystal pretty much represents something. And all of our energy centers, again, all of our chakras, our root, sacral, solar plexus, our heart chakra, throat, third eye, crown, there are a lot of different crystals that can activate, clear the energy, and also have you receive the energy that you need, that you're depleted from, by really gravitating towards the right crystals for yourself. So where do we start, you ask me? Well, let me tell you. Thinking about yourself, and as you're just getting quiet for a second, just close your eyes for a minute and look internally inside your body. Where do you feel inside of you're feeling depleted? Or like, is it in your head? You have too many thoughts going on? You have too much heaviness on your chest that you haven't gotten things off your chest? Are you afraid to speak and use your voice and share? Are you feeling not so creative? Are you not being passionate enough? Are you not being intimate with your partner? Are you not confident and standing in your power and stepping into your power when you need to, if you're being confronted by someone who is challenging you? So there are many different crystals for all of these energy centers. So I would always love for anyone who's interested in learning about crystals to really understand where they're feeling depleted physically in their body. So if you turn to me and say, my stomach is always in knots, sugar, my stomach is always a mess, obviously I know that I'm going to be working with your three chakras: your solar plexus, which is right above your belly button, your sacral chakra, which is right below your belly button, and your root chakra, which is your entire belly, right? Or you might turn around to me and say, I'm so foggy, I can't think straight, I can't get my thoughts out straight, I'm exhausted all the time. Obviously, I know I have to work with your crown chakra, which obviously I'm going to bring a massive quartz crystal to the party, and we're going to clear that up. And obviously, I'm going to know that the bowls I'm going to select for you specifically, since we're working on your crown chakra, have to do a lot with the crown as well. So crystals, these beautiful instruments, are obviously made with crystals. And the crystal activation or grid that I may create for a client really pertains to what the person is going through or what it is that they need. So we also have the new moon and the full moon. There are different crystals that happen for those moons depending on what zodiac sign they're in, and so on and so forth. So I say, children, pick up rocks. Since I had 25 boxes of rocks, obviously, because I was on my dad's sites in Iran when I was super young and loved collecting all these sparkly rocks of different colors. And then it transitioned into crystals, and I didn't exactly understand why. I was very attracted to them, but I didn't learn about them till later. So I just implore that if you have kids, nephews, nieces, or anyone in your life who's interested in crystals, make sure that they're, finding out at a really early age why they gravitated towards the aventurine, because it's for their heart. And so maybe they needed that extra love. And so crystals they're fun, it's amazing to work with them, and clients really not only love to wear them as jewelry, but also really understand when they activate their home or their office, or they have me create a sacred space for them, they can really feel the difference immediately, especially if you're buying a home, selling a home. There are so many things that you can do to enhance your whatever it is that you're working on, whatever project you're working on. I mean, if you're working on a very good big project, obviously you're going to want to bring that nice big pyrite to that project, and make sure that you're activating, just like I have created a grid on this table for everyone that is listening to us right now, including all of you. So yeah, it's very
Wow.
intentional. It's very intentional. I'm very intentional. And I think that it's really important that whatever you do in your life, you give it 110% and you're super intentional about it. That's all.
That's all. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through how if somebody has an issue that's surrounding their crown chakra, what that looks like. I never thought of pyrite as a crystal. I mean, of course it is, but I always think of it as fool's gold, but there's nothing foolish about that.
No.
So, Crystal, could you walk me through something here?
Yes.
You went through something that was incredibly painful that would derail people. And that would be losing your successful business. Folks, Crystal is not a slouch here. She is a wellness trainer as well. The Milken Institute, who vets people that they offer for trainings, they had her training. So she's the real deal. What she's saying, you can definitely say, oh, she must know something. People were filing through, thousands of people filing through your business, going to your events at this beautiful space. I've seen pictures and videos of it. Everybody talks about it who remembered it. Beautiful wooden floors, great acoustics, a beautiful space. The energy was fantastic. All of that, looters and rioters destroyed the face, stole, gone. Energy was violated. This is where you were. What did you do to help you to heal? Did you apply the sound bath to yourself? Did you apply the crystal healing? Could we ask what you did?
Oh, such a beautiful question, and sometimes difficult to answer, only because when you go back through time frame, it's emotional, because this is a very personal space, right? And so, I unfortunately was there literally 2 minutes before my windows were broken, just leaving out the alley, and got stuck for 24 minutes watching all of my neighbors, including myself, get completely violated. Um, Being someone who loves humanity, being somebody who has always created service businesses to always pay it forward. Um, I'm highly empathic and highly compassionate. I understand where people are at. And so I want to make sure that everyone understands that I don't take anything that happens personally, that I was with everybody walking and marching. And so at the end of the day, uh, hurt people. And so the first thing that let me just be crystal clear that the first 3 days from the Sunday of the day that it happened until Wednesday, I saw black. Like, I was not here. I was very much distraught. Wednesday, I woke up and all I could hear is forgive, forgive, let's go. You've got work to do. Forgive everybody. Make a post. Tell them what they need to do. Forgive. And so that is what I did. I got up, I created a post. I basically instructed all of the looters who, if they happen to come to my page and see what I had written, to make sure that they're going to clear the energy of the crystals that they took. Because you have to understand, I programmed all the crystals in that space to absorb the energies of trauma, grief, sadness, pain, loss, like horrific things from people. So if I wanted to sell you, let's say, my butterfly wings, I would have to clear its energy before I sold it to you. Otherwise, its job was to keep absorbing and clearing, right? And so that
Oh.
is one thing I can say is the community showed up for me so quickly. That Monday morning, my landlord called and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I can't move." He said, "Everybody's been here since 6 o'clock." And so he said, "Some people drove an hour to come here and help clean up. You need to come over here." When I got there, I couldn't even speak. I was crying the whole time, but I saw everyone cleaning, sweeping, picking up, saving whatever was even broken together. It was honestly, I was so touched by the love and affection by all the people that showed up for me that week. And then, to be honest with you, by Wednesday, when that whole forgiveness thing came and I created a forgiveness, I forgive you post, and this is what you all need to do. If you have my belongings, this is what you need to do. After that, it was just, I was done. Like, I needed to now decide, okay, I can't afford to stay here. I wasn't insured. So I have to get rid of whatever I can. And literally everything is still sitting in my storage. And, I'm now ready to part with things. It was really hard to condense 3,000 square feet in a matter of nothingness and leave the space you just spent your entire savings on. So it took time.
And you got through it. You
I did.
thrived.
And one thing that's super important to just let you all know, I did go through a very physically 2 months after this happened to me. I want to make sure, because it's important that everyone knows when you've gone through a traumatic experience, eh, physically, things happen. And so my stomach started to hurt on the right side very, very quickly, like 2 months after, like having like very strong pain. And anyone else would have just been like, "Oh, it's premenopause. Take 2 Advil, not a big deal." Or, it's just whatever, hormones. But I immediately went and had it checked out. I had a massive cyst the size of a grapefruit that literally grew because I'd never had a cyst before or anything. And so listen to your body. If you're going through something traumatic, make sure to check yourselves out. That is a time where things happen, and people always miss the boat on that, and they don't take the time to listen. It's, again, very important to listen to what's going on with you, because had I just forgotten or allowed it to just go on, it would have turned out to be a really serious situation. And so, not, things happen, but again, having that awareness, being in tune and in touch with yourself. And yes, of course, when I was healing, it took me 6 months to recover from that surgery. Once I did the recovery, obviously I took this time to just reevaluate everything, reflect, look at where the silver linings were of how I can come back from what happened. What was I missing? What were the things I was missing on? So there was a lot of time that I had to reflect on, building this incredible business, but then I wasn't present in certain areas of my life. That was very important. And so there was, the mirror got held up against my face nice and close. And it was nice to see the areas that I was not being present that were very important. One being a mom to a young child who needed to have her mom on a regular basis. So that was one.
That is quite the journey. I love the fact that you're always of service for people here. You're a healing person. You're a healer because here you are, you're giving instructions to the people who stole your stuff, that stole these beautiful crystals that you helped to program. And you said, "Hey, if you stole it, please do this." And then getting up and trying to heal and moving forward. And indeed you did. Thank you so much for sharing not only a very vulnerable experience with us, but the audience is really benefiting, Crystal, because you're giving your wisdom. You're helping people. Certainly, other people have gone through certain traumas and such. And I know our viewers really love to tune in to learn from a lot of our guests. And I know that there's a lot of value going on. As you see, Evilise Cologne said, listen to your body. It's speaking to you. We're listening to you as you're telling us and teaching us. And of course, appreciations of Michelle Wilson. So I would like to talk about how you elevated yourself. How did you bring up the energy using what you know? Now, I think maybe I'm wrong here, but I think the name of your business has something to has a little clue here. But how did you do it, Crystal? Because you're here, you're elevated. I mean, obviously, whenever we go and relay a painful experience, of course, we're going to have some touching, unless we're going to touch into that emotion and that time. How did you elevate, and how does this work continue?
So that's so interesting. I have a feeling, it's for me, the initial move of this COVID and the pandemic, I have to say, I didn't pivot as quickly as everyone else. So I'm of a background of 35 plus years of brick and mortar businesses, okay? Restaurants, service businesses. I've been a landlord, I've been a tenant, I've been like working with the family and putting my fingers in all these different things. And so, technology was not my strong suit. And let me just share that I probably didn't really open up my laptop since college. I did everything by phone, and all of our businesses were so in person, and we were not computerized. So everything was handwritten checks, old school. I still do my accounting on paper. And so technology was something I was very humbled during this pandemic. Everybody in my field very quickly went and created online programs and did their memberships and showed up on Zoom. I just learned Zoom 5.5, 6 months ago. I learned Instagram 4 years ago, never knew MySpace, Your Space, or anyone's space, didn't really care to be partaking in any of these spaces, frankly, to be honest with you. Our reputation, my mom's food, our personality was what attracted people to our establishment. And so at the end of the day, we were marketing ourselves in that way. I didn't really hire a marketer, understand any of the things that are important in running a successful business like I do now. Thank you. So many things, but Clubhouse being one of them. That app really saved my life. And because of this lovely Clubhouse app, I got to learn technology by literally finding new mentors and teachers who I can watch like every button being pushed properly, so I know what to do. 5 months ago, I finally, created a membership where I can offer my new moon and full moon sound baths, which is a monthly thing that I do that everybody used to love. So
that's cool.
It's so cool. And that the fact that I know how to technically do that by myself, like that is so huge.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to continue further, but there's a few words that when I listen to you, and that's so beautiful, and there's a lot of other words that come to my mind, but integrity, authenticity, responsibility, those seem to be the things that you encompass. And interestingly enough, those are the very things, Crystal, that the Los Angeles Tribune stands for. In fact, the CEO, I've just removed myself because it's live television. The CEO of Mo Rock, he really wants to spearhead this in media. In fact, the Los Angeles Tribune is bringing to you a lot of programming like this and so much more. But don't take my word for it. Why don't we hear a little more about the Los Angeles Tribune and what's going on with Roku television?
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we're back, Igniters. I'm your host, Michelle Quevedo, and you just learned what we're up to at the Los Angeles Tribune. I love how they say giving a voice to the voiceless. And that's what we're doing right now, especially with today's guest we have here, Sugar Panbehchi, also known. Many people mistakenly call you Crystal, don't we, Crystal? Don't they? And Sugar, what's really interesting, if you guys just jumped in, catch it on the replays, because Sugar talks about her origin story of how she came as an immigrant to this country. You would never know how beautiful her English is, but how entrepreneurship was in her blood, but she had a calling interiorly of looking within, and she actually made a thriving business. And then that business was pounded and destroyed due to the pandemic and crazy things that happened with rioting and such. And yet she found forgiveness, and she applied healing techniques that she helps for other people to herself and thrive. So I feel that, Sugar, you're actually a case study for your own work. And that's why we really wanted to know, wow, what happened here? So let's unpack a little more about that process that you take people through, that now they can access it online. Could you explain what that is and how we can learn more about that?
Sure, sure. So, one of the biggest reasons why I opened up my wellness center was because obviously these beautiful crystals and all of these amazing instruments are very heavy. And if I were to constantly pack everything in my car, it takes me an hour to pack, takes me 30 minutes to unpack, set up a grid, set up everything. I wanted everyone to come to me. So that is one of the biggest reasons why I opened up that space, to really have the community show up. And then I also wanted to teach and educate everybody else, and also train everyone and have the people there. But in this way now, I'm really literally back to square one. So obviously, when you have your business, you're able to have classes, you're able to hold space, host events, and do all sorts of things. And it's much easier to do that when you have a space to do them in. But when you're working, and I also had 25 plus employees, right? And so when you're now a business of one, my energy and what I am giving off, it's a lot of energy, because I'm also picking up so much from the client outside of all the things I'm doing, which is to enhance their experience, to help them throughout whatever they're going through. And so not everyone can afford me, which is in person, right? Because there's a lot that goes into having me come in person. And so I thought, the best thing to do is to have my new moon and full moon events, which happen, twice a month. And so this way it's affordable. Everyone can still experience a session with me. Everyone can still experience a crystal grid. And really, I create such a high activation that, it doesn't matter if you happen to miss it or didn't get a chance to hear it. No matter when you come to your practice, you're going to receive all the benefits you need for whatever it is that I curated for that space, for whatever it is that I made, whether it was the new moon, the full moon, or a session that was private for you. But that was my main reason as to creating that membership, is so that, anyone around the world can afford $9. And so I made a very, very affordable one for people who were just, in different parts of the world that things are a lot more expensive. And then just kind of went up from there. And then now you can either work with me or join my membership. And then, or we have a new surprise that we'll talk about after.
Yeah. So here, guys, check out the replay of the viewers that are just popping on, or if you're on Roku TV, at the 55 million that are watching, rewind it, because I still find this astounding, Sugar, how you were talking. You did an Instagram post, or you did a social media post to talk to the looters who took your crystals and said, hey, please take care of the crystals. This is how they help you. So you're always of service. And now you have something that that people do need. I by the way, that really is my jam. I love following the moon cycles. So that's fascinating. You did touch on something that's interesting, because folks, this is what's going to be fascinating when you're going to hear this. Our viewers are going to love this, because here you're talking about, I didn't know that Zoom didn't exist until 5 months ago. And what else did you say? I like to write everything by hand. But you're moving into something that is really one of the hottest business fields in the world. In fact, there's even an event going on in Dubai talking about the Web 3.0, and then people are talking about NFTs and this and that. It's called the Metaverse. And this beautiful woman who helps people and heals people, and she talks about, I didn't know Zoom existed until 5 months ago, is in the Metaverse. Can you please explain to us what the Metaverse is, how you found it, and what Be Crystal Clear Sound Healing and Wellness Center has for us in the Metaverse?
Oh my God. Well, let me tell you. Okay, so again, I'm 50, didn't know technology, literally zero, till the pandemic. And so I am excited to share that. Thank you to Clubhouse and being on the app, truly, because I met the most incredible people, including some people here. And so I was, last year I was in the NFT rooms, which is a non-fungible token. That is what an NFT means or stands for. It was almost like a foreign language. So last year I would go into the rooms, I would stay a little bit, I would hear some things, and then I would have to leave because I didn't quite understand what was going on. However, this year, once you hang out with the people who are in this world and you get comfortable with the lingo and the language, things start to make sense slowly, okay? The Metaverse. So basically, we are going to be opening up Be Crystal Clear Sound Healing and Wellness Center exactly as you would have initially walked into on 7th and Broadway, 719 Broadway. That's where it was in Santa Monica. So I met an architect on Clubhouse and heard him explain in a room that he's able to curate very realistic looking spaces in space and Metaverse. So I immediately, and so this is what happens with me, or I want to make sure that it also you're tuning into this, because when you get that surge of that feeling in your stomach, like you got to do something immediately or otherwise you're going to kick yourself. And then when you don't listen to it, you do kick yourself, because then it all of a sudden did so amazing and you didn't jump on the bandwagon of listening to your own gut instinct. This is so important because, again, this happened. Had I not listened to my gut instinct to pick up the message and call this guy and say, let's get on a Zoom right now. I want to hear more about this and I want to see it. I would have probably been still going along and, nothing would have happened. And so taking action when your gut instinctual explodes is so important. And that's something I'm really good at because I'm so in tune. I listen to the vibrations of my body and what it's telling me it wants to do. And so once I got on the Zoom with him and he showed me exactly what he can do, and he can actually build out my space in exactly the way I had curated it, which was very important, placing the crystals where they need to be. This is my love section. Y'all are in my love section right here. That's why you have all the rose quartz behind you. But then in front of me is my money section. So you have to know where to place what you need to place. And so when he told me that he can build out my space, I was like, oh, really? What else? Let's see what else I want to do. So not only are we going to actually build out my Sound Healing and Wellness Center just as it was, the actual building, but I'm actually attaching a walkway to it as well, because I'm actually adding an educational center to the building, because I want to continue collaborating, bringing in like-minded souls who, like me, want to help educate all these youngsters who are going to be coming into the metaverse or being born into this space. So I love the real world. I'll never stop having real interactions and real communication and contact eyeball to eyeball with you. I won't ever not have retreats because the metaverse happened. No, my job in the metaverse is to hold space, but also to educate everybody that how important it is to have these important relationships that are in person. So yes, I will do educational things on there. I will be teaching the youngsters and the adults and whoever is interested in the realm of the things I talk about. But my biggest voice will be to remind everybody to remove their Oculus glasses, contact lens tomorrow, whatever device it is, and just to connect face to face. And so as much as I love the direction in which we're going, but I find myself also questioning and being concerned about the things that it might do to distance us from one another. And so a lot of people have a problem with this as well. And I completely commiserate with you. I understand. But the important thing is that our children are all going to be in this realm. And I, for one, want to know what's happening in the space. And I think that the sooner we educate ourselves on blockchain, NFTs, understanding the crypto technology world, understanding how metaverse works, understanding how you can use this metaverse for your business is a responsibility to all of us, to everyone else. And it's really important. So yes, there's a lot of downfalls for when things like this happen, but there's also a lot of good things. And so again, you got to look at the silver linings and you got to see how can you show up and be of service in this space. And for me, I'm always going to hold space, but I'm an educator. Like I'm going to be here to remind that poor child who's never climbed a tree, how important it is that he needs or she needs to go do that, you know?
Oh
So
my goodness. I love this. And I love the fact that you are moving into the metaverse because of the fact that you're that's what a leader does. A leader has to experience and also try to find a balance. You ask the questions and you also help people to ask those questions. We're moving into that. We call it Web 3.0. And your business sounds amazing. So what you're saying is how Be Crystal Clear Sound Healing and Wellness Center is that we're going to be able to put on our Oculus or, like you said, in the future, contact lenses, whatever that virtual device is, and we can walk into your business and we can know exactly where your love crystal section is, your wealth section is, and we can rearrange it. Okay, I'm going to say something funny. Will we know where to put our shoes? Will it be in the same spot? Or no, I'm kidding. But is it that detailed? Because it is a virtual reality, and I think that what you touched on is very important about children because it's so realistic. But will we be able to have that much interaction in your metaverse space?
I sure hope so. You know, what I'm visualizing for the metaverse, you know, we're a few years out, but just to have our hologram of ourselves, so we're not in these cartoon characters. I mean, listen, I'll be in alt space VR. That's the first space that I'm be going to because, you know, it is a professional space. So there's a lot of professionals there already hosting rooms, already curating spaces. So there's a lot of other virtual spaces that are, you know, very different. Okay, so I got to see, I still don't own an Oculus, it's coming, but through my guy, he got to take me through all these different spaces. So I got to see where the kids hang out and I got to see some very interesting things that I was kind of like, whoa, okay, I don't know. And so you have to, again, like everything else, knowledge is power. Educate yourself, understand the spaces, understand where you want to go hang out. And sure, there'll be a time and a space where I think technology will take us. Now, if it's raining, are we going to feel water on our face? No, but the mind really tricks you when you're in the headset. And so could the mind make you feel like you're drinking something if you actually don't have something in your hand just yet? but you can visualize. It's almost like the same thing. Like, I always love to give this example. Just visualize me grabbing a lemon right now and grabbing my nail and scraping it. Can you smell the citrusness of this lemon? Or if I cut it and squeezed it, does your tongue start like getting salivated? It's kind of the same thing. So to a sense, I feel like we're going to experience things and it's going to feel real, and we're going to not realize how many hours we're there. Therefore, timers are very important, everyone. It's really important to know that you shouldn't have the headsets on for more than whatever hours that you're allowed to. I always say an hour, 30 minutes, take a break, get off, And so things like that are super important. But can you see what I was going with that?
Absolutely. And this is, friends, why it's important to have sugar in your corner, because yes, absolutely. This is the difference between you and other people going into the metaverse. They want people to be immersed in there. They want people to go inside the metaverse and kind of forget it all forever, because the longer they're in there, maybe I don't know, maybe they'll make money. I don't know. But for you, what you've used this tool, Crystal, is to help other people around the world who have these devices to be able to experience Santa Monica, California, where this space is virtually, and really get that experience. And then if we go to Santa Monica, can we visit the same space? We don't know, because it seems like everything's mimicking each other, but you're right. We need to experience it. I remember the Food Channel, they were working on something called Smell-O-Vision, where they had these boxes that you can get, and they go, hey, this chef's going to have all of these different ingredients, and you can open up, but the problem was is that it was like fake scent or something. That was the idea. I don't know if it ever really took off, but we're always trying to recreate that, because we know that we can conjure up things that really affect us. And now we have in this metaverse space, your space, which is going to help us to actually create more balance inside. It's beautiful. I think it's wonderful, but I love the responsibility that you're making sure that you're advocating for. And certainly, I know this is not the only time you'll be doing that. So thank you very much. We do have a couple of questions, but there is a question from one of our viewers that I wanted to bring up here. And this is by Al Chan. He said, what differences in effects by incorporating crystal healing into metaverse as compared to normal healing through the normal conventional way? Could you show us a comparison of what that will be like?
Sure. It's almost like I'm doing it now. First of all, I love nothing but to place my crystals on my client's body, on their amethyst mat that they were laying on, fully heated, the biomat, and, have that vibe, right? But after, losing the space and starting to work with clients, on FaceTime, because I was doing one-on-ones only. That's all I could energetically handle at the interim. And so I ended up getting this beautiful wooden hand-carved wooden board from a tree, actually, and it's right here in front of me, but I would show it to you. And so this wooden board basically has just a physical outline of a body. And so through the outline of the body, depending on what the client is going through, I would curate the crystals on the client's body. And so therefore, when you activate it, it's as if the client is literally next to you. They would still feel all the heat and warm or cool sensations, all the vibrations that was going through the Reiki, through the crystal healing and the sound healing. And so pretty much the same thing. I would curate my crystal grids. Perhaps I would I would share them it would be by invite, right? Because my space won't be public. It'll be private. You would be getting a link, and that link would then have you join my space at that curated time. And then you would already have probably whatever it is that I activated that grid. Let's say it was the spring equinox and we're planting new seeds. So that grid is going to be activated in every new seed project, partnership, whatever it is that you wanted to create. By the way, it's happening March 20th for all of you, spring equinox. So it's really important to curate a beautiful grid for yourselves. But that's, energy and vibration and frequency, just goes, you channel it. It's the same thing as, when you think about someone and all of a sudden they call you and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. It's the same thing.
It's just the same thing. I love how you unpack these very intricate, fascinating, and realistic realities and systems and such, and you go, yeah, it's the same thing.
But working with crystals, it's important that you have to share and be as transparent as possible with what you're going through. When you're working with a practitioner who's using certain crystals, it's really, really, really important that that person understands the details of what's happening with you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, so that they can really put the right crystals together for you for your healing session.
Get the most out of seeing this expert. Absolutely. That makes me think of it, when I speak with people about health and wellness and they talk about, oh, okay, I'm going to go see this physician or this person or this specialist. I always remind them, I'm like, they're not mind readers, and it will make it a lot easier for you if you work with them. Give them information, right? I mean, yes, there is some intuition that everyone has, but doesn't it make it a little better? Like, you can get to those issues faster. There's so many things. You can heal faster. You can feel better.
I'm kidding. But I am one.
Does this mean that in the metaverse that we're going to have a virtual Crystal 3.0 who's going to say, hello, let me give you a sound bath? Or no? What is that?
And that's what we're going to. That's it's going to be so fun for me. This is the fun part. This is the part where I get to have fun playing and figuring out what works. Because let me tell you, Zoom, if you're joining a sound bath session of mine, you'd have to join my Zoom link. Otherwise, I would have to give you instructions on how to put your settings properly so your eardrum doesn't explode if you heard me play my bowl. Because, for example, I have to make sure that the sound quality is right. Like, what are we doing? So it's going to be interesting, fun way for me to figure out, like, how am I going to use the educational center? Like, am I interviewing a lot of people? Am I going to stand there? Everyone's going to come in and they're going to learn. So we're just going to make it up as we go, because no one knows, right? But this is all about being curious, being creative, being patient, and having fun. Period. End of story. And then, great, you get to meet all these amazing people. You get to make money and build yourself back out. So I can now go and, yes, hopefully build another real space.
That's going to be identical to your virtual space. It's just like how it used to be that Broadway had these great plays and then Hollywood would do it in movie form. And now we see the complete opposite happening and vice versa. And it's just all these different realities. It's no different, folks. It's no different than the physical here, but there's some challenges that are being worked out. I would imagine if I put on my futuristic hat or something, I would say, Dr. Dre is probably going to go off and he's going to create the beat thing for you could feel the base of the crystals. So you're gonna, who knows, but probably those things will work out, and there'll be the launch of that in the metaverse coming soon. Crystal, I just wanted to thank you so much for everything that you shared. And it seems like anyone who interacts with you, that they really know that they're going to have an experience where people know that they're going to get something from it. So there's always some kind of value, and you found different ways of bringing value to people by doing something that's so passionate for you, and it's doing so much good for the world, the universe. And quite frankly, it's been proven that it helps you also through your life challenges that's happened through that too. So I wanted to thank you so much for the whole package of Crystal Panbehchi. So thank you so much. We do have the big question, Crystal, that we ask everyone, and I would love to hear what your answer here is. And it's by our Buckminster Fuller. We also know him as Bucky. The big question, Crystal, is how do we make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological damage or disadvantage to anyone? Crystal, can you answer that question?
Very simple.
Oh.
Random acts of kindness all day long, people. Just treat each other with love and respect. You see somebody who's trying to open their door and they've got groceries in their hand and they're struggling, help the person out. Just ask them. Ask permission. Always ask permission. I forgot. That's so important. Ask permission first, and then always see how can you help someone every day. Just do something nice for somebody. Period.
Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. And I just wanted to remind everyone, you just heard some beautiful, don't go away, Crystal. You heard some beautiful words of knowledge and wisdom and also innovation coming from Crystal Panbehchi. And if you're interested, make sure that you follow her on her socials under Be Crystal Clear, which you can find not only on Facebook, but also on Instagram. She's also in Clubhouse, as you know, it's one of the hottest ways to communicate with people audibly. And also, we want to remind you to please make sure that you follow us at the Los Angeles Tribune. This is a beautiful platform. And as you saw with the ad, we're giving a voice to the voiceless, for those who feel that they've been displaced, but also bringing to you a lot of news and great content, as this brand has been around since the 1800s. And Mo Rock, the CEO, is adding just his flavor and also helping humanity using this platform. So please make sure, check us out on YouTube as well as Facebook and Instagram, anywhere you can find with Los Angeles Tribune. There's also a new magazine that just got launched for the Los Angeles Tribune. Make sure you check that out. You can check that out on the website for the Los Angeles Tribune. And make sure you connect on all levels, because if you enjoy this programming and then you want to make sure that you really get people to pour into you so you can move forward in your life and really make an impact, not only a positive impact in your life, but in others, make sure that you follow. And with that, I want to remind you to always find reasons to smile. There's a lot in this world that wants to challenge you to say that you don't have to or you have no right. But you know what? You do. And there's so many figures that you probably can think of who have gone through some of the gravest situations who can always find reasons to smile. So you do that too. And with that, I'm going to pop up Crystal. And Crystal, could you please give us some final words to our audience who has been so interested? It was just this growing audience. Please share with us some final words.
Well, I just want to, first of all, thank you all for showing up and being here to listen to not only me, but to so many of the amazing speakers that have spoken already prior to me and also after me. This is a beautiful, beautiful space to connect and learn from so many people. I think life throws you a lot of obstacles, and it's meant to. Otherwise, if we had perfect lives, then where would all the colors be? You know, we wouldn't be able to see, smell, touch, feel all the different things that we would have, you know, if we basically, what I'm trying to say is enjoy every second of your life. I don't know why I'm having my tongue twister right now, being put on the spot at the last words. Be yourself. Don't worry about the obstacles. They're just lessons to teach you things. And look at all the silver linings, no matter what is showing up. And do your best, if you can, to not go towards things that are low vibrational. So it's much easier when we're going through an obstacle to, you know, indulge ourselves in things that are not good for us. And so really try to do your best in, you know, finding a solution to your problem, and also knowing that you're not in it alone. Everybody around the world is going through something, and there's always someone there to lend a helping hand. And if there's anything that I can ever do for any of you, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. I love being of service. I love helping. And so I think that, you know, in life, whatever makes you happy, do that. And this makes me happy. So I'm sorry that that sounded so crazy.
It did not. Thank you. And there you have it, folks. Crystal Panbehchi from Brick Mortar to Metaverse, and now to our hearts and our healing. Thank you so much, Crystal. And thank you, everyone, for coming here at Ignite Your Essence and joining us with this Los Angeles Tribune. And I want to say goodbye.
Thank you.